Hey there everybody, this is your art teacher, Mr. Young, and welcome back to another virtual art class. Now I know this week we are starting out very different from the first 4 weeks of school because this week some students are coming back to school to have class in the classroom, and some of you are staying home to stay safe and continue doing school from home. So because of that, all of the virtual art classes will be through pre-recorded videos like this, and I won't get to meet all of you over Google Meets anymore. And because of that, it's very important for you to know how to navigate to these videos that I'm creating for you so you can still participate in art for each week. Now let's go ahead and get started with this presentation. For today, we will set some Google Classroom expectations. We will then have a lesson on shapes. And later on, we will talk about a famous artist named Britto. Then at the end of this video, I will show you step by step how you can create your artwork. Now let's start with our expectations for Google Classroom. Now these are 3 expectations I have for you, and these are really important because this is how you will be participating in our art class if you are virtual. Now I ask for all students, including face-to-face students and virtual students, to join the Google Classroom. In case you don't see me that week, you can still watch the video lesson on Google Classroom. Or if you forgot what I had taught you, you can always go back to my Google Classroom and find a video there of the lesson that I have. And the first thing that is really important for everyone to do is to join the Art Google Classroom for your grade level. So each grade level has a different Google Classroom for art. And if you notice, you will also have a new Google Classroom for all of your other specials, including PE, music, and library. So make sure you also join my Art Google Classroom, and that is how you will be provided the lessons for art. Also, the second thing you need to know and you need to do is to view these lesson videos, just like this one that you're watching right now. Each week I will have a new lesson video that is pre-recorded, and you have the responsibility to then watch that video. And if you have any questions about the lesson, you can comment on the video in Google Classroom, or you can email me. So make sure if you have any questions, you can still reach out to me about the lesson. And then the third thing you need to know in Google Classroom is for you to submit your art assignments. This is the most important thing you can do for virtual students, because this is how I will know that you participated in art class. Because I won't see you in Google Meet and I don't know if you watched a video or not, it is crucial, it is most important for you to finish your artwork and submit it inside of the Google Classroom. And so that way I can see that you've done your work, and I can provide you feedback and give you grades for your participation. All right, now that you understand that, I'm going to go on and move to our lesson on shapes. So shapes are really important in art class because it is one of the 7 elements of art. Remember, our first 2 elements of art that we learned this year were line and shape. So line is really important for artists, just as coloring is. And now shape is the next important thing that artists use to create artworks. Shapes are when you create a line wrapped around, and that creates an enclosed line or a shape. Usually shapes are flat and they are 2-dimensional, meaning they have a height and a width. That means they go up and down and have a height, and when this side over here, when it goes side to side, it has a width. Circles and other shapes also have heights and width. It's how long and how tall they are. Now let's see these different types of shapes. There's two categories of shapes. The first category is geometric shapes. They are also called regular shapes, and these are the most basic shapes that you may think of when you think of shapes, and these are the easiest shapes that you can create using math. Now we also have our second category of shapes, which is our organic shapes. And these are more natural shapes that you might find in nature. And it's more difficult to draw usually, and it's more abstract. And sometimes you can find it in nature, like this flower shape right over here. And if you see this image on the right side, this just shows you how you can use shapes like the shape of a circle to create different objects when you are drawing. So if you look at this avocado, the avocado has a basic shape of a circle that has a little hump at the top for the skinny side of the avocado, and then a smaller circle on the inside for the seed of the avocado. And if you look over here, the pumpkin is also a basic circle or oval shape, and then all of the details around the outside make it look more like a pumpkin. And if you look at the bird drawing, inside of the bird there's a circle shape in the body and a circle shape in the head to help you draw the details of a bird. So shapes are really important for artists because when you are drawing, every object has a basic shape that it is based on. Now let's go ahead and watch this video where we will learn more about our shapes.
Welcome to Robot Art School. I am your robot teacher, but you can call me RT. My creators have programmed me to teach you art. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use the element of shape. So grab your art supplies and let's get started. Remember, the elements and principles of art are the building blocks of art. The better you get at using them, the better your art will be. If you recall, a line is a moving dot. Well, if we move the dot so that it connects back to the beginning, we have a shape. In other words, a shape is an enclosed line. A shape has a two-dimensional area, meaning that it has a length and a width. We see shapes because of a difference in value or color. For example, there is a white square here, but you can't see it because the background is also white. But as we make the square darker, we can see its shape. Similarly, a triangle starts to appear on the green background as we change the triangle to red, even though the value of the triangle and the background remain about the same. There are two main types of shapes. First, we have geometric shapes, such as a rectangle, a triangle, and a circle. These are also known as regular shapes because we see them all around us. They have basic mathematical equations that are used to describe them. Next, we have organic shapes, such as a heart, an apple, or an abstract shape. These are more complex than geometric shapes, as they are more difficult to describe mathematically. Though we have names for some specific organic shapes that we see in nature, most don't have names since they can be very random. Because of this, organic shapes are also referred to as free-form shapes. Sometimes, we outline our shapes to make them stand out more. However, many times, shapes can be defined by what is in or around them. These are referred to as implied shapes. If we want to draw a complex organic shape, such as a baseball glove, we can break it down into more simple geometric shapes. These shapes that make up the subject we are creating are referred to as positive shapes.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the video there. I think that's a good stopping point because we learned a lot already from this short video on the different parts of shape. So as we learned, there are regular or geometric shapes that are more mathematical, and there are organic shapes that are more abstract or more natural. And they're also called free-form shapes because they are more organic. So now that we learned about these shapes, let's go ahead and move on to learn about this famous artist, and his name is Romero Britto. He is a Brazilian-American artist, meaning that he was born and raised in Brazil, and he came to America to have a better life. And he was greatly inspired by pop art, cubism, and graffiti artworks that he's seen everywhere in the United States. And his style has become more iconic, and he is known for having artwork that is very warm, bright, optimistic, and he uses a lot of different colors and shapes to create his artworks. And his main goal for creating art was to make people happy. Let's go ahead and meet this artist, Romero Britto, in this video.
These are the works of Romero Britto. They're joyful, simple, and you may start to notice they're all over the place. But who is Romero Britto? And how did he become so prolific that he is the most licensed artist in history? Let's start with the basics. Romero Britto is an artist, more specifically a contemporary artist who blends pop art with cubist-like abstraction.
And the subject matters that I do. It's very simple, very direct. I'm very consistent with my colors. And then the lines, the stripes, the little things that I put in my work that is part of my vocabulary.
He was born in Brazil to a big family, and growing up was pretty tough.
My mother had like 12 kids. I wanted to get out of the house because it was chaotic.
And little did he know, art would become his ticket out.
Since I was a kid, I always liked drawing, but I never knew that it would change my life.
At age 25, he moved to Miami, where pop art was flourishing.
I was like, you know what? I love America. I love Miami particularly because it's such a dynamic city.
With no formal art training, he would paint on newspapers and on the streets, the only canvases he could afford.
Before I show my work in galleries, I show my work on the sidewalk in Miami.
He was able to move into a small studio, soon getting his first brand deal with Absolute Vodka. And from there, his career took off. Disney, Coca-Cola, Mattel, Samsung, luggage, lamps, watches, bananas. If you can slap a print on it, odds are there's a Britto version of it. His sculptures are in train stations, shopping plazas, hotels, corporate headquarters. The guy has done the Super Bowl, the World Cup, and the Olympics. So, yeah, Romero Britto is everywhere.
How many pieces of art I've done? Oh my God, listen. You know, it's pretty hard to keep track of it. Like a few thousands.
To keep the business going, he's hired dozens of employees, and the scale of the operation is staggering.
Well, people say that I'm the most licensed artist in history, so I'm very honored for that because it means that my work is reaching out millions of people. I just don't want my art to be enjoyed by the elite of the world, but I want my art to be enjoyed by the masses as well.
But nevertheless, Romero's art has caught the attention of celebrities and heads of state all over the world.
All those pieces are here are prototypes and $1 trillion. People tend to say that if you're colorful and you're fun, you're not serious. But I do think we're all searching for happiness.
And to help others see this happiness, Romero's company has donated to over 250 charities, including the Holtz Children's Hospital in Miami.
If you see all the time darkness, when there's going to be the moment of brightness? Everything about my work is things that I think is very pleasing to my eyes and to my heart and make me feel good, because life should be about fun.
Alright, I really like. Now, after watching that video about Romero Britto, let's look at some of his artworks. So as you can see from here and from the video we saw, he loves to create artwork surrounding cartoons, animals, and pop culture icons, because he is often influenced by pop art, and pop art is just another word for popular culture art. So artists in pop art love to use different materials and cartoons and popular themes and characters that people know of to create artworks out of, just like this one of Mickey Mouse. Romero Britto worked with Disney to create a lot of different artworks with Disney's characters. And he also loves to use different animals like this bear here, because it's really relatable to kids especially. And then we have this painting over here of Frida Kahlo, which is of course the famous Mexican artist. And so he uses things that people know about and creates these bright artworks to appeal to other people. So here are just some examples where he used cartoons, animals, and pop culture icons. In our next example, we can see there's a lot more details he added here. Here's a dog, a heart shape, and an eagle. But he includes all sorts of shapes, patterns, and bright colors when he creates his paintings as well, as you can see here. And so in this dog painting, you can see that the different parts of the dog have different colors and patterns. We have the dotted patterns, the polka dots. We have the stripes. We have a mixture of lines and dots. And we have a checkerboard pattern. In our background, he uses a lot of these flower and heart shapes to create the design in the background. And inside each of the designs, he colored each part a different bright color, so that way it really pops out from the page. So we can see the heart example, and lastly our ego example. And here are all some of examples of how he used shapes, patterns, and bright colors. Now, after we've seen his artwork, let's create our own artwork based on his drawings or paintings. We're going to create pumpkins using the style of Romero Britto. So just like this example on the top that I created, we're going to be creating this today. And here I included some steps for you, so if you need to pause and read the steps, you can. And I will also share with you later on at the end of this video how I did it step by step. The first step I did was to sketch my pumpkin shape. After that, I sketched different shapes and line patterns on the inside of my pumpkin, as you can see here. And then we use warm colors to color inside of our pumpkin, but you can use other colors for like the stem and vine, or if you want to add other details in the background, you can use other colors for that. But for our pumpkin, I'm going to use these warm colors so it looks more like a pumpkin that has these orange, yellows, and red colors. Lastly, I added bold black lines to outline my drawing. Now before we get started and I show you how you can create it, go ahead and grab a piece of paper, a pencil to sketch with, and a black marker or pen to outline with. If you don't have a black marker or a pen, you can use maybe a black crayon or something else that's a darker color. And lastly, you will need some coloring materials. Alright everyone, now I'm going to share with you how I did my pumpkin drawing step by step. So first I grabbed this piece of paper and a pencil, and I'm going to start by drawing an oval shape in the middle of my paper. And this is going to be the middle section of your pumpkin. After that, I created a curved line on the sides of that oval. So it should look something like this, and that's going to create the next sections of your pumpkin, because the pumpkin has many different sections with creases in between. So we're making these curved lines on the outside, and I'm making another one going even bigger and touching back at the oval, and I'll make one other one on each side. So total I should have 1, 2, 3 lines on the left side outside of the oval, and 3 lines on the right side of the oval. And if you count in between the lines, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 sections to your pumpkin. If you have a little bit more room, you can make it even bigger, or if your paper's pretty small, you can stop at this line and make your pumpkin a little bit smaller. Now that I have the parts, each section of my pumpkin drawn out, I'm going to go at the top here and make the stem of my pumpkin. I'll also add this little loop-de-loop line as my little vine. Alright, after that, I'm going to go ahead and go inside of each section to draw a different design. I started with this left section, and I added these circles or these half circles to make a polka dot design. After that, on this next section, I'm going to add triangles as my next shape design. And this makes a pattern if you repeat the shapes over and over again. After the triangles, this next section, I'm going to add these zigzags. Remember our zigzag lines that we learned? I'm going to fill this one in with zigzag lines, and that will be another pattern. Next here, I'm going to put some diagonal lines as diagonal stripes. And then I'm going to add another design, another polka dot design, but with smaller circles. And then here I added some squares, so I have a different shape design. After I have my square design drawn out, I'm going to go in here and add some wavy lines or these curvy lines to make another pattern. Now that I have all my designs, all of my patterns and shapes, I'm going to go in and color each section. So as you can see here, I started with an orange color. Remember, we're coloring in with our warm colors. Our warm colors are again orange, yellow, and red. So I started with orange, and I'm also going to color other sections in with red and yellow. And as you can see here, I first outlined it so I don't fill inside of the circles, and then I went ahead and colored all of the spaces outside of the circle. And you're going to try the best as you can to color inside of the lines, just like I am here. So here I'm just skipping ahead a little bit further. So you can see I've filled all of the spaces inside of my pumpkin with these warm colors. So I grabbed the red, yellow, and orange to fill it in. And for the stem, I did fill it in with the green. The stem doesn't have to be a warm color. After that, here I grabbed my black marker and I went on top of those lines that I did with a pencil and outlined it again, but with black. So that way I have this really bold black line so you can clearly see the lines of my pumpkin shape. Alright, now that I am done with the pumpkin around the sides, I'm also going to outline the stem. And the last thing you can do is sign your name at the bottom corner if you would like to. That will just let me know that this is your artwork. Most artists love to make their signature at the bottom corner. So if you would like to make your signature, you can go ahead and do that just like I did down here. Now, before you all go, make sure you take a picture of your finished artworks. I cannot wait to see them, and please turn them into me on my Google Classroom. Now that will just let me know that you participated in our class today, and I can give you feedback in our Google Classroom. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and I hope you have a fantastic week.